I think we need to position ourselves to like dig deep, like what's the root of this? And that can happen over like several appointments. But I think having the confidence to do that comes from really understanding low energy availability in REDS and like the signs and symptoms and putting it together, which I think is like, at least for me, I've noticed what has missed in my education around it, and just in experience and like information is starting to come together. And I feel like your article on REDS and urinary incontinence just like is like another like, yes, like another catch of like, yes, this is different. We don't treat this with Kegels. Like this is not going to get the result, you know? And that's where like, you can't send that athlete for pelvic health physio because that's not like, maybe eventually they needed to restore some function, but it's not going to solve it. So then they're just seeing like another practitioner who's treating just like the first obvious thing without truly understanding like the root cause of like what's happening. And I think that's where we fail our athletes, but not because we're not trying, just because we haven't put it all together.
The thing that I was trying to make a point of too is like, we know how to treat the bone stress fracture. Like we know what that looks like, but we haven't addressed the reason they got into trouble in the first place. And that's where we are not skilled up as therapists. And I think Micaela had some good suggestions there too, but it's like, that's the differential diagnosis component. And then we also need to know that this is within scope for us to have these conversations and refer out, because obviously we shouldn't be doing sports dietitian work, but we also, you know, like there's just a lot of really interesting overlaps here that is absolutely missing in our educational programs. And I actually worked really hard in the program I was in to try to influence that thought process.
Limited time in kind of a typical practice. Like I have an hour and a half assessment. Typically, if people are coming to see me, like they've tried traditional, and it hasn't worked. So like they are wanting that education and that like deep dive. But one thing, another person who I learned from, actually a sports medicine physician, he says, if you can't answer these 3 questions, you don't understand what's going on. And I like try to live by that now because it has helped so much. But it's why this athlete, why this injury, why now? And if I can't answer those questions, then I don't understand what's going on. So therefore, I'm not going to be able to treat it. And sometimes it takes time to figure that out.